All right, we are profiling the many Alabama NFL draftees for the 2021 NFL Draft with my buddy, former Alabama receiver Matt Hereford. Always good hanging out with you. And hey, your buddy Schmitty, that's who we're looking at, DeVonta Smith. Schmitty. He's a pretty cool cat. 6'1", 175 pounds. And oh, by the way, he's got the hardware to prove that he's one of the best around, the Heisman Trophy. There was a little bit of a concern early on that maybe his size would hurt him, but it proved to be otherwise. What comes to mind when you think about DeVonta Smith? What's the first thing that comes to mind when you think about him as a player?
I'll just say tough. And when you talk about size, that's exactly, we talked about Waddle a little bit, but both guys have been able to prove they can play at the college level, they can take hits. But Schmitty in particular, he is, he's thin, but he's able to just break tackles. I've seen him get hit by the biggest guys in the SEC. He just bounces off and continues to go. So I don't think that's, a problem. And like we're talking about it, he's proven it over the years that his size is not a problem or not an issue.
Have you heard that he's been called the Slim Reaper before?
I have. I love the nickname, the Slim Reaper. That's awesome. Yeah, I didn't think about that, but I absolutely love that nickname. I mean, he's a killer on the field. And when he works in practice and everything he does, he just works extremely hard. But he's what I would like to say is like the stereotypical or the prototypical prototype or whatnot of a perfect wide receiver. When I've seen him run routes, he doesn't necessarily have that fast twitch that Judy or you would see Waddle have, but he runs the cleanest routes out of anyone I've ever seen. So smooth, and his hands are unbelievable. He's made catches that I've never seen anyone else make, on his fingertips. And I'm like, how can someone do this? And Schmitty does it all the time, over and over again.
And you think about kind of what he had to go through to get to where he was at. Obviously, sitting behind Henry Ruggs, much like Jalen Waddle, Henry Ruggs and Jerry Jeudy. And so he kind of had to sit and wait his turn and really started to emerge there late in his career at Alabama. And then, of course, Jalen Waddle came on the scene. Unfortunately, Jalen Waddle injuring his ankle, so that kind of maybe changed the landscape of what the Heisman Trophy race looked like. But you got 3 Alabama players in the top 5 for the Heisman Trophy. He ends up winning it. And, I mean, I got to be honest, I get it. It was a virtual ceremony. It was a lot different than what it would have been in person. But he was just pretty I won. What kind of personality is this guy, DeVonta Smith?
I mean, I think that just shows that he didn't necessarily expect to get the Heisman Trophy, but with all the hard work he puts in, he's a guy who's in, whether it be the weight room or on the field when we're not practicing all the time. He's making extra catches. They did a little video on him this year, but it's really who he really is. He's doing catching on the jug machine after practice constantly for hours, all the time in off season. So he's an extremely hard worker, and I think that it's what's the next thing? What is he going to do next to continue on and just dominate records and keep just doing his thing? But it's funny because when I talk about his hard work, there was a specific time when he told me about in high school where he and some buddies had snuck in to the weight room to go in there and lift when the high school was closed, and they actually got kicked out for it. But I find it very comical that it was because he was legit going in there to lift weights and get better on the weekend when other kids didn't want to. So.
And that's pretty impressive coming from a high school guy when you could be doing a whole lot of other things in high school than going in there and lifting and obviously bettering yourself. What kind of system do you think he can thrive in? When you think about the next level, where do you think he can really thrive as a wide receiver?
I mean, honestly, for most of the guys, but especially Schmitty, I think just about anywhere that has a good quarterback that, maybe is more primarily pocket passer rather than a guy who's a dual threat. But he'll thrive anywhere, in my opinion. That just gives him the opportunity to be kind of a wide receiver 1 or a wide receiver 2. And he's been in a great system already, but he knows how to fit in and do his role. And when he's ready to ball out, he balls out.
Download the Milo's mobile app today and receive a free cheeseburger after your first purchase.